What's up, my comic comrades? The day has finally come, and by that, I mean the finale to Marvel's epic King in Black event. This has easily been one of my favorite Marvel events to happen in a long time, and the main series has been incredible. But today, it all comes to an end, and let me tell you guys, it ends with a bang. If you've been watching our past King in Black episodes, you know when we covered the latest issue of the main King in Black title, we also briefly recapped the most current Venom issue, which directly ties into the King in Black. Meaning, before we get to the main course today, I'm gonna briefly break down Venom issue 34. But I wanna emphasize briefly because quite frankly, I am super excited to talk about King in Black issue 5 because some things happen in it that I need to share with you. But before we wrap up King in Black, we wanna thank Keeps for sponsoring today's episode. It's no secret that for many guys, including yours truly, a shrinking hairline is one of the prices we pay for the rest of our sexy. In fact, 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. And while science and medicine are always advancing, there's no magic cure for the bald and the beautiful. So the best way to hold on to those luscious locks is to do something about it early on. And that's exactly where Keeps comes in. You used to have to go to a doctor's office for your hair loss prescriptions, but with Keeps, everything can be done online right at home. Keeps gets you started in 3 easy steps. First, they set you up to speak with a doctor online, who will then prescribe you the FDA-approved plan that's right for you personally. Next, you get to skip the lines and beat the prices at the pharmacy as your daily supply of treatment is delivered straight to your front door every 3 months at half the cost. After that, all you have to do is follow your prescribed plan and start tracking your progress. The important thing is that Keeps treatments typically take between 4 and 6 months to see results, so you need to act fast. The sooner you start using Keeps, the more hair you'll save, but you also won't be alone in the process because Keeps' dedicated team of physicians, pharmacists, and care specialists are there to support you along the way. So you may have tried FDA-approved hair loss products before, but never at this price or with this kind of dedicated support. So if Lex Luthor or Professor X isn't the look you're going for, head over to keeps.com/variant comics or click the link in the description to get 50% off your first order of hair loss treatment. And find out why Keeps has more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors and why hundreds of thousands of men already trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention. Again, that's keeps.com/variant comics. With that said, let's see how King in Black comes to an end. So last we left off with Venom issue 33 and King in Black issue 4. If you want to know what went down in those issues, watch our video on both those issues, which you could find right here. If you didn't watch that episode or haven't read the issues for yourself, you're going to be lost today as we're picking up exactly where those issues left off. With that said, let's start this off with Venom issue 34. It picks up where issue 33 left off, with Null holding Eddie off the side of a cliff of the God Hive. This situation is all too familiar and recent for Eddie, as not too long ago, Null did the same exact thing, ripping Eddie's Venom symbiote off and then throwing him off the side of a building, which killed him. So Null does the same thing this time, but unlike last time on Earth, Venom symbiote finds him and saves Eddie. We then get an epic page of Eddie saying, "We are Venom," with massive dragon wings as Null screams, "No!" in the background. The Venom symbiote then tells Eddie, the real fight, the war, it is above. Because remember, they're inside Null's purgatory, or God Hive, as they called it. We must go to the real world. Eddie tells him, wait, how? I thought we were only a memory. The Venom symbiote then says, you are a codex. I could take you with me, but you must choose a form. So as Eddie bursts his hand out of hell, aka the God Hive, where Null trapped him, making his way to Earth, we see on the next page the form he chose to take is a Godzilla-sized Venom, which he does by seemingly absorbing all the other symbiote mass around him that's trying to take over Earth. It is freaking awesome. I mean, it's a Godzilla-sized Venom. Imagine seeing that crap in the MCU. Forget Godzilla versus Kong. I want to see Venom versus Godzilla and Kong. Godzilla Venom, as I call him, starts making his way to Null in the real world while swatting symbiote dragons out of the air like flies and crushing them in his hand. At which point we see Flash Thompson, aka Agent Venom, who took the form of a white symbiote dragon last issue, has followed Eddie up to the real world saying, Eddie, holy crap, man, is that you? He says yes, and Flash then tells him, okay, big guy, point me where you need me. I can provide cover. But Eddie tells him, this is between me and Null. I have to save my boy. I need you on the ground. Flash then says, on the ground, but my physical form is in the grave. I can't. Venom then tells him, do you remember what happened to Cletus when he got a symbiote dragon? Flash says, no, I was dead for that. Venom then says, trust me, go find out. I got this. What Eddie is alluding to is from Web of Venom, Carnage Born, where Cletus was able to be brought back to life by a cult bonding his corpse with one of Null's Grendels. So if Flash bonds his Null symbiote dragon with his corpse, it might bring him back to life. Anyway, we then see Godzilla Venom finally find Null and go to attack him, leaping towards him, but midair he gets pierced with light. The Venom symbiote then tells Eddie, the God of Light is here. I felt him, like our kind, but different. His light approaching, blinding, screaming, roaring. The light then rips the Venom symbiote from Eddie, with Eddie falling, saying, no, don't leave me. Venom then tells Eddie, no, you must let go. You must let it take you. I will find you. always find you. We then see a panel of Null screaming no, as he no doubt knows what's happening. The next several pages then show us what we saw at the end of King in Black issue 4, that the God of Light, aka Captain Universe, the Unipower, the Enigma Force, has finally arrived and has chosen Eddie as its new host. The Unipower then asks Eddie to choose a form as it raises his body above the hospital bed, and he says, "I laugh as it asks me," because there's only ever been one answer to that question, which of course is Venom. And then on the last 2 pages of the issue, we see Flash Thompson in the form of a symbiote dragon fly to his grave saying, "Okay, Brock, you better be right about this," as he flies into his grave. As his corpse absorbs the symbiote dragon, on the final page of the book, we see his hand burst through the ground in front of his tombstone. And with that, the issue ends with Flash Thompson being brought back to life. But if you can believe it, that's just the appetizer, friends. We are officially entering the main course now with King in Black Issue 5. King in Black Issue 5 starts off with Silver Surfer and Null at a standoff. Null then says to Silver Surfer, "You, Surfer, we have met before, yes?" He replies, "Indeed we have, and I remained unimpressed, Null." There is another now, a God of Light, as he turns his board into a Final Fantasy-sized sword. Null responds saying, "Yes, so I have heard, but you above all should remember, no matter how fast light travels, darkness is always there waiting." Then as Null rises up forming all black, he continues to say, "In a way, I admire you, little light. I remember you. You will die a noble death." Surfer then tells him, "Perhaps, but I shall not face it alone." Then on the next page, we get an epic 2-page spread with the Avengers charging Null while Captain America is yelling the iconic battle cry, "Avengers, assemble." But before they could reach Null, a voice says, "I appreciate the assist, fellas, but I'll take it from here," as Venom, now the God of Light, lands in front of them to face Null one-on-one. Null then just looks at Eddie saying, "So this is it then. The great God of Light has chosen a host that I have killed. How many times now? Is this meant to scare me? Honestly, you can't possibly believe that you could beat." And then on the next page, before Null could finish his sentence, we see Venom put his hand out, calling Mjolnir and Surfer's sword to him from Thor and Surfer, as he's saying to Null, "Yeah, I really think we can." Meanwhile, Thor is like, "Mjolnir? He summoned Mjolnir. That should be..." And Silver Surfer finishes Thor's sentence with a grin on his face saying, "Impossible." Venom then says, "Surfer, Thor, Spider-Man, all of you, stay here. Protect the innocent," as he does something to Thor's hammer and Surfer's board. And on the next page, we see he tells the Avengers to leave this one to us, as we see he formed a gigantic battle axe by merging Mjolnir and Surfer's board together, creating what one could only assume is now the most powerful weapon in the Marvel Universe, or at least top 3. With this new gigantic awesome battle axe, Venom charges Null with light radiating from his axe, eyes, and spider emblem. Meanwhile, back on the ground, Cyclops says to some fellow Avengers, "Was that Eddie Brock wielding a battle axe made out of Surfer's board and Thor's hammer? Did he just fly?" Essentially, Cyclops is just as shocked as many of you are right now, and I was when first reading this. It is so freaking awesome, but we're just getting started. As Venom continues to chase Null, he says he's hiding, running, throwing everything he can in my way. Venom then says to Null, "Come on," as he starts hacking and cutting the heads off of his dragons with his battle axe. While Venom is continuing to decapitate Null's dragons, he says, "Stop hiding, come out and end this." At which point Null comes out saying, "You want your end, little host? Then let all black be your end." As Null swings all black, his sword, down at Venom. But on the next page, we see Venom literally just catch and disintegrate all black with one hand, while saying, "No more. No more swords, no more dragons." Null then asks, "How are you doing this?" Venom then just grabs Null by the throat saying, "Just you and me." Now, in case you don't understand how impressive it is that Venom not only caught all black with one hand, but also disintegrated it with a single touch, let me break it down. All Black, also known as the Necro Sword, is one of the 10 most powerful weapons in all of the Marvel Universe. It is quite literally capable of killing gods. Even beings like Galactus and Ego the Living Planet are scared of this thing, and Venom, now the God of Light, just stopped it and got rid of it like it was a child's plaything. Anyway, while holding Null by the neck, Venom then proceeds to fly Null into a building saying, "You wanted darkness? I hope you enjoy it," as he raises his battle axe ready to bring it down on Null. Null just laughs saying, "You know nothing of the darkness. Let me remind you," as one of Null's Celestial's hands bursts through the building trying to grab Venom. But Eddie, without even thinking about it, swiftly swings his battle axe, decapitating the symbiote-controlled Celestial. Hear me, my comic comrades, Eddie just decapitated a symbiote-powered Celestial as if it was made out of butter. What more can I say? If that doesn't impress you, nothing will. Eddie then looks back at Null saying, "I don't need a reminder," while grabbing him by the neck again saying, "Remember when you dragged me up here from the sewers? All the pain, the fear, the agony as you rip my other from me, while he hangs Null off the side of a building as Null did to him twice before. Null then says, you can't, but on the next page, Eddie just says, I remember all of it, as he raises his axe and cuts through Null's torso. But on the next page, we see Eddie just isn't using the battle axe to cut through Null's chest. No, he's also using it to strip him of his symbiote, of his darkness. While saying to him, do you know what I remember the most? I remember feeling hopeless. I remember falling, as he lets Null go off the side of the building. As Null hits the ground, Venom flies down saying, get up, we aren't done. Null, while bleeding out, tells Venom, you can't win. You may kill me, but the darkness, it lives in your son. Eddie says, you want to talk about my son? Let's go talk, as he grabs Null and flies him into space. While Null is telling Venom, you'll never be free of me. The void, it is eternal. The darkness has teeth, child. Venom replies, so do we, as he uses his newfound power to melt Null's face, then continues to say, you might be right, there will always be darkness, we might all be swallowed by it, we may all lose, drown in your kingdom of black, but I don't care, this is for you, Dylan, as he pushes Null into the sun's core, killing him for good. Or good because comics. The Unipower then tells Eddie, Edward, do you feel it? You've done it. They are singing to you, Edward. Null, he is gone. His hive, they are free. As we see the darkness shed itself on Earth. We are then taken back to where Eddie left his battle axe with Thor and Silver Surfer just staring at it. But Surfer eventually puts his hand out saying, board, to me. Then Thor puts his hand out saying, Mjolnir. And with that, the battle axe turns back into Thor's hammer and Surfer's board, returning to them with Thor saying, it would appear the battle has been won. And Silver Surfer replies, indeed, the battle is done, Thor. However, I do not think things will ever be the same, as Eddie Brock flies back down to Earth, landing between all of the Avengers. Spider-Man then asks Eddie, is that really you? Null, is he? Eddie answers saying, yeah. And yeah, more or less. Spidey then says, oh my God, you did it. It's over. He tells Spider-Man no. Eddie then walks over to his son Dylan saying, Dylan, it's me. Can you hear me? Dylan says, Dad, as he hugs him, telling him, it's okay, I'm here. Dylan then tells his father, it hurts inside me. I have a piece of him, and I could feel him burning. Eddie says to his son, I know, try to breathe. This is gonna hurt, as he uses his new power to put his hand inside of his son's chest, ripping the piece of Null out of him while saying, I know it hurts. I feel it too. But I made you a promise. You will not inherit this darkness. As he pulls said darkness out of his son and destroys it with his hand. On the next page, we see the Unipower leaving Eddie while he says, wait, what's happening? And the power tells him, you have done well, Edward, but I must leave you. You do not need the light to protect you. Not anymore. Eddie says, but I don't understand. How will I? And the power tells him, you have a new role now, Edward. You have become something else, something new. At which point we see the Venom symbiote bond with Eddie again saying, I found you. Can you feel it? Eddie, can you feel what has happened? Now at this point, some of you may be saying, wait, didn't Eddie have the symbiote the whole time he was fighting Null? And no, he didn't, because remember, at the end of issue 34, the God of Light and or the Unipower stripped him from the symbiote as he was attacking Null, and then asked Eddie what form he wanted to take, and he chose the form of Venom. So while he looked like Venom, he didn't actually have the Venom symbiote on him. But like the Venom symbiote said in issue 34, don't worry, I'll find you again. Which it did just right now. So now bonded with the Venom symbiote again, he tells his son, we're okay, stay here, we'll be right back, as he flies off. Eddie then tells his symbiote, I could hear them all, the hive, but I can't understand them. Meanwhile, Spider-Man looks at Eddie fly away with all the other symbiotes following him and says, I don't understand what's going on. Why are the symbiotes chasing him like that? We then see the Venom symbiote answer Eddie saying, they are speaking to you in our ancient tongue, Eddie. Because you have defeated the void. You freed our kind. You are the hive mind now, Eddie. You are the god of the symbiotes. You are the King in Black. As Eddie perches on the top of a building with all the symbiotes flying around him, and with that, the issue ends. This finale was incredible. Most epic stories like this, the ending is usually where it falls apart, but this was solid all the way through. And actually, the last issue had some of the coolest reveals out of the whole series. I mean, Venom verged Thor's hammer and Silver Surfer's board to create a gigantic battle axe that could kill Celestials and the Lord of the Abyss. It literally made the Necro Sword look like one of those pool sword toys or like a LARPing sword. We also see Venom literally fly Null into the sun, killing him, chop a Celestial's head off, and then at the end become the new King in Black, aka the God of the Symbiotes, which is crazy. There is just so much to talk about, which we're gonna do in depth on our podcast. That's right, if you didn't know, we have a podcast simply titled Variant the Podcast. So if you want to hear Tim and I speak about this in depth, you're gonna want to tune in and check out our podcast. Links in the description. In any case, I am super excited yet saddened for Venom issue 200, which will mark the end of Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman's run on Venom. but it's gonna set up a whole new story arc and course for Venom. But clearly, I absolutely love the King in Black event, but what did you guys think? Are you excited Eddie is now the new god of the symbiotes? And what did you think of his battle axe? I feel like I'm gonna keep talking about that forever. It was just so freaking cool. But either way, let us know your thoughts in the comments. And that is gonna do it for yet another episode of Rant, but if you like today's video, be sure to check out this one right here. And if you like all of our content, as always, subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the channel grow. But I'll see you guys next time when we talk about all things comics.